Hi, Internet. My name is Marissa Bowder, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book for you that is called City of Bones. It's written by Cassandra Clare, and it's published by Simon & Schuster. I'm going to go ahead and show you here on my cell phone the cover of this book. I have lent my copy of this to a good friend of mine to read. So I'll get that for you, and then I will go ahead and read the description as according to Amazon.com. And the description reads, "Don't miss The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, soon to be a major motion picture in theaters August 2013. Just a sidebar, that is already out on DVD, and if you haven't watched it, you should. And the film stars Lily Collins as Clary, and it stars Jamie Campbell Bower as Jace. So, moving on with the description. It says, when 15-year-old Clary Frey heads out to the Pandemonium Club in New York City, she hardly expects to witness a murder, much less a murder committed by three teenagers covered with the strange tattoos and brandishing bizarre weapons. Then the body disappears into thin air. It's hard to call the police when the murderers are invisible to everyone else and when there is nothing, not even a smear of blood, to show that the boy has died. Or was he a boy? This is Clary's first meeting with the Shadow Hunters, warriors dedicated to ridding the earth of demons. It's also her first encounter with Jace, a Shadow Hunter who looks a little like an angel and acts a lot like a jerk. Within 24 hours, Clary is pulled into Jace's world with a vengeance, when her mother disappears and Clary herself is attacked by a demon. But why would demons be interested in ordinary mundanes like Clary and her mother? And how did Clary suddenly get the sight? The Shadow Hunters would like to know. Exotic and gritty, exhilarating and utterly gripping, Cassandra Clare's ferociously entertaining fantasy takes the readers on a wild ride that they will never want to end. Okay, so on that last sentence there, true. This is a true statement. You will not want to stop reading this. This is my very favorite book series. Very, very favorite. How I got into reading this book to start with. I was waiting tables, and a regular customer of mine was a mother and her daughter, and the daughter was probably about the age of my eldest little sister, I'll say. And she was reading this book. And I had seen this book in bookstores and on the shelves at Walmart and such, and I hadn't really thought about it. And she was reading it, and every time that this couple, this lady and her daughter, would come and sit at my table, this girl was reading a book, always. So I figured she would probably have to know whether it was good or not. So I said, hey, how do you like that? And she says, it's amazing. She's like, this is one of the best books I've ever read. And I was like, oh yeah, what's it about? So she tells me, and I said, hey, that kind of sounds pretty cool. Because I'm into paranormal fiction. Let's give it a shot. I love these books. They are my absolute favorite. I love that Cassandra Clare never ever talks down to her readers. Never. And I love that she uses references that are generally pulled from people who are studying classic literature, um, from those types of curriculums. So that exposes this audience of younger people to literature that they might not have explored on their own, unless it was on like a reading list for school. And a lot of times people don't generally want to read things that are on reading lists for school because they're like, oh, this is for school. Why do I want to read this if it's for school? No, I'm good, thanks. But really, there's a lot of good information in those lists. Don't knock them till you try. I'm just saying. Anyway, back to City of Bones. So we meet Clary and her best friend Simon, who's in love with her. And she's just completely blind to this shadow hunter world that's going on around her until she sees Jace, Isabel, and Alec. And Isabel and Alec are brother and sister, and they are from the Lightwood family. And they are battling this demon, and they kill him right in front of Clary. And she freaks out because, well, wouldn't you if you saw somebody you thought was being killed? So, this is how our journey down the rabbit hole begins. And we follow with Clary and discovering about what downworlders are and what which are vampires, fairies, werewolves, and warlocks, for those of you who don't know yet. And we discover what the downworlders are and what their relationship to the Nephilim are, which are the shadow hunters. And why are they doing what they're doing? What is their purpose for this? How did they come to be in our world, in our space? And we follow Clary's journey through learning all of these things, learning about her mother, things that she never knew about her mother, because her mother hid her from the Shadowhunter world to hide her from her father, who is Valentine. Dun-dun-dun. Not a good guy, Valentine. So we discover about Valentine and what his motives are, and to an extent. We don't learn quite in depth. That comes later in subsequent novels. But we learn that Valentine is up to no good. And we learn that Jocelyn was trying to keep Clary away from Valentine and that Clary had no idea about Valentine. And Valentine didn't really have a very good idea about Clary until just recently. So, we also discover Clary and Jace and their budding romance, and it's very sweet. And we have, on the one hand, I know we've got Simon and Clary shippers, and on the other hand, we have Jace and Clary shippers. So we discover how it is this little blossoming love triangle with these three people. And it's crushing and devastating and soul shattering at the end of this book when we find out that Clace, look at me, Clary and Jace, that Clary and Jace are brother and sister. What? Who else saw this coming? No one. No one. No one saw this coming. And I love that Cassandra Clare is so joyously devastating all of her readers by doing this, because on the one hand it makes you say, I have to keep reading because this can't possibly be true. It can't. I won't stand for it. It can't be true. And then you have people like me who initially, when I read this book the very first time, I wanted to throw it across the room. And I was so angry and so upset. And why would she do this? Why is she taking her hand and plunging it into my chest and ripping my heart out like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom? Why is this happening right now? I can't deal with this. But at the time, my stepmother was the only other person that I knew who had read these. And so I asked her and I said, why? What is, and she'd read farther into the series than I had at that point. And I said, why is this happening? I refuse to read the rest of these. This is just too horrible. Like if there's something that's already this horrible happening now, my goodness, what's going to happen later on? It's going to be so horrible. And she says, just trust me, Marissa, trust me. Keep reading. And small sidebar, this is now my mantra. When I give people books to read and I suggest to my friends to read things and they say, what is this happening? I can't believe this. Why would you give this to me to read? And what's going on? Is this person going to be okay? Did this person kill this person? Is this what this is? And I tell them, just keep reading. Kind of sort of an adaptation of Dory's Just Keep Swimming, but keep reading. Back to City of Bones. So, we find out all these things, and what makes this such a great book for me personally, aside from Cassandra Clare's personal voice, I like the way she writes to start with. I love the storytelling and how it's all so very carefully put together, and the foreshadowing is very purposefully put into place. And she says that herself on her website, that she has to map all the stuff out that she's writing in outlines and stuff first and tweak them as she goes if she wants to change things, but that she has to have everything carefully put into place because she has all of this foreshadowing for the next book and the next series of events. And so I think that that's really smart, and I love that. And it's just completely captivates my attention. I couldn't put it down. I had to keep going. It's such a great series. Such a great series. And if you haven't read it, I recommend you go read it. If you have read it, I recommend that you go read it again. So, in short, City of Bones, fantastic, fantastic book. If you're a person who loves paranormal fiction or urban fiction, this is set in New York City, what's more urban than that, then this is definitely up your alley. If you're a person who likes the more traditional aspects of vampires and werewolves and that and their sort of relationships together, and you're not so much into the new school type of stuff that's introduced in like Twilight and stuff like that, go check this out. I promise you, you'll love it. Just keep reading. Read all the books that come after it, and we'll get into the reviews of those, of the subsequent novels at a later date. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and follow me on Tumblr under Pink Sugar Chiffon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or you can shoot me an email at marissaebowder@gmail.com. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. Have them look at it. Have them share it with their friends. And spread the word and the love of reading. Spread it to everyone that you know. Because some of the greatest adventures that you can ever have without ever having to leave the comfort of your home is in a book. So go take one. Okay? And then when you're done, meet me back here and we can talk about it.